How's it going, Starseekers? My name's Gotcake and welcome to this review of Galaxy Warfighter, a retro-inspired shoot-'em-up, or SHMUP, featuring 100 levels and hordes of enemies to blast your way through. Now before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to all my subscribers. The channel's growing faster than I ever could have imagined, and I appreciate your ongoing support and hope you continue to watch my content. That said, I urge anyone who's watching not currently subscribed to do so. I upload reviews of indie games every few days, often picking the lesser known titles, in an attempt to highlight those hidden stars and destroy those horrible shovelware games, hopefully saving you a bit of money in the process. So the game begins without any sort of fanfare or opening storyline, and instead you drop straight into a hangar where you can see your ship hovering majestically and your pilot chain smoking whilst chatting to a floating TV screen. Here we have a few options available, including settings where you can turn the music, sound effect and vibration on and off, upgrades where you can spend your hard earned currency to upgrade various ship elements, profile which tells you your current coin count, the number of ships you've destroyed, your game completion percentage and next mission, and finally launch, where we can hop into the pilot seat and blast off on our first mission. So things start off relatively slowly. Your ship's always on auto fire to save your thumbs, and the first enemies we encounter are these brown shuttles which fire a single projectile at us. When destroyed, these explode, scattering currency, which is then sucked up by our ship if we're close enough to them. The total amount of currency earned so far in the mission is displayed in the top left. Taking damage from either an enemy projectile or by accidentally colliding with an enemy will reduce our health bar displayed in the top left corner by 1. Each time damage is taken, you get a brief spell of invincibility, and when all our health is gone, the ship will explode and will fail the mission. One positive to this is that any currency earned will be retained, and you can either choose to restart the mission or return to the hangar to buy upgrades. After fighting our way through all the standard enemies, we'll come to the end of mission boss, and this can be one of 4 bosses. Now I've given each of them a nickname as they're unnamed in the game. And firstly, you've got the Orbit Boss. This boss is a ring shape and has 2 grey barriers which orbit round its central mass, protecting it from your projectiles. It travels up and down the screen, firing streams of projectiles which you must pilot your ship between. Next is the Armadillo Boss, named so as I thought it looked a bit like a curled up armadillo. This boss has spiked plates which you need to destroy to get to its squishy interior, and fires off dark energy balls which pulse out bright blue projectiles. Next is the Missile Boss. He's a big ugly lump who floats around firing homing missiles at you, which you can easily dodge by flying round in circles. And finally, there's the Shield Boss, who in my opinion is the most difficult. This boss begins with a barrier protecting its core from your shots, and you first have to destroy the shield generators at the top and bottom of the screen before the shield will drop. All the while the turrets fire these projectiles in a pattern, the boss itself fires these spinning discs at you, and when its shield is down, it also fires these large blue rings at you. If you don't manage to take it down fast enough, the shield will be restored and you'll have to repeat the process over. Each boss also appears to have a second more difficult attack phase which activates after a specific time period, but you will rarely see this happen due to circumstances I'll cover shortly. So after destroying a boss, it'll drop some currency and you'll be able to either progress directly to the next mission or head back to the hangar to purchase some upgrades. Taking a look at the upgrades, there are 6 in total. Firstly, there's Armour. This permanently increases your health bar by 1 and maxes out at level 7 when you hit 10 life bars. Next is Gun. Each level of this increases the number of guns on your ship and thus firepower, maxing out at level 5. Each level of shields provides an additional barrier which orbits around your ship. This shield can block a few projectiles before it's destroyed. The drones upgrade adds additional mini drones which fly alongside you, providing additional firepower. You can upgrade this for a maximum of 5 drones which can be manoeuvred around your ship using your right analog stick. Shockwave is one of 2 active abilities, and it produces a shockwave which emits from your ship, damaging enemies on screen. It takes a while to charge up, and additional levels of this increase the damage of the shockwave. And the final and second active ability is Stop Time. Like the shockwave, this takes time to charge up, and when activated, it freezes all on-screen enemies for a short duration. Additional levels reduce the recovery time of this skill. So in general, the gameplay loop in Galaxy Warfighter is enter a mission, blast your way through enemies whilst earning currency, then face one of the 4 bosses. After defeating the boss, you either move on to the next mission or go spend currency to upgrade your ship. As you progress through the levels, enemies appear in increasing numbers and become progressively more difficult, with new variations appearing approximately every 5 to 10 levels. These new variants have different projectile patterns and come in one of 3 forms. Firstly, the standard shuttle enemies, which fire either small bursts of projectiles straight ahead or single projectiles towards your location. Secondly, you've got the medium-sized enemies, which have a variety of attacks, such as this one which fires a large blue projectile from which split additional projectiles above and below it. There's also this ship which fires a stream of blue projectiles, or this one whose shots fire outward in an X shape. The last of the three enemy types are battleships, which begin to appear after level 50. These are the hardest enemy type to take down and fire a burst of projectiles towards you. To assist you in dealing with these threats, there are also pickups which can appear at random when destroying an enemy. Firstly, there are two different projectile burst pickups, which basically fire a burst of projectiles out from your ship when picked up. Next, you've got the shield pickup, which restores a lost shield panel. Third are the fire pickups, which turn your shots red, increasing the damage for a short time. And lastly is the nuke pickup, which when collected instantly destroys all enemies on screen. I'll offer a word of warning though when grabbing the nuke. An explosion sound effect is played for every ship that it destroys. These sound effects stack on top of each other though, and nearly blow out your eardrums if you're wearing headphones. Now I've played through 76 levels of the game so far, and I'll sum up my gameplay experience with Galaxy Warfighter. Let's first begin with the positives. The controls for the game are responsive, and your ship goes where you want it to, though the game could do with a movement slow button to navigate with more accuracy through projectiles, especially on the bosses. The graphics are decent, the high resolution which gives the game a modern retro vibe, and all of the enemy sprites look good. Throughout my whole time playing, I didn't once experience frame rate slowdown, even when things got chaotic on screen. So let's get down to what I deem to be the main problems with the game. We can begin by taking a look at the game's eShop listing, and I'll go through each of its features. I've already covered the HD retro graphics, so I won't go over that again, but we'll start with well thought out attack schemes of the enemy. So there are 10 different enemy types in the game, and each has its own unique attack pattern. While initially these are noticeable and add some variety, as you make your way through the missions, the majority of these become indistinguishable amongst every other projectile on the screen, with the only thing still managing to stand out being the bright blue shots from the medium ships. When it comes to the game having unique bosses, there are 4 of them in total, and while they initially appear to be challenging in the early game, the difficulty rapidly drops off as soon as you get the time stop ability and a couple of gun upgrades. You can literally get to the end boss, hit your time stop and have them destroyed before it wears off, at which point they just become a minor speed bump in your journey to the next mission. The upgrade in the system is not too bad, with each upgrade providing a significant benefit, but their overall effectiveness gradually wears off once you hit around mission 65. This is due to the fact that as you progress through the missions, every enemy's HP is up just a little bit, and by this point, even with fully upgraded guns and drones, I was still struggling to take down the majority of enemies. The battleships, which appear beyond level 50, are a massive bullet sponge, and you'll often find yourself unable to take them down due to all the other smaller ships firing on you. Even when you do manage to take one down, another will appear after a few seconds, and this results in you being forced to the top or the bottom of the screen. Here you'll have to sit praying for a nuke to appear as battleship after battleship occupy the middle of the screen. The backgrounds in the game are very nice, I won't argue with that, but from what I've experienced there are only 5 of them, and these quickly become as nondescript as the rest of the game's features. Now, all of the above mentioned issues are due to one overriding main issue. The game has 100 levels, and it suffers severely from a case of quantity over quality. The uniqueness of enemies, bosses, upgrades and visuals slowly but surely wear off, and you'll find yourself playing through mission after mission, experiencing the exact same gameplay loop. It wasn't until level 50 that I experienced any real challenge with the appearance of the battleships, and after this the difficulty is not scaled in any meaningful way. It's mainly due to the enemy health outgrowing your damage output. Now the game itself is not terrible, it's relatively easy to begin with and could serve as an introductory game into the SHMUP genre for players before they take on more challenging bullet hell titles such as Red Death. But in my opinion the devs should have focused more on the quality of each mission, provided a smaller set of more unique levels and even added a simple storyline to the game. This would have made Galaxy Warfighter a much more interesting title and a more valuable addition to the genre. Now I rate games from 1 to 5 stars, with the shovelware stamp of approval reserved for the worst of the worst. This rating is based on my own personal opinion of the quality of the gameplay and what I believe a game has to offer in terms of value for money to potential buyers. For Galaxy Warfighter, I'd rate the game 2 out of 5 stars. A lack of any sort of game plot and the repetitive nature of its 100 levels with limited enemies and bosses means you'll likely become bored after slogging your way through 20 or 30 levels, and it's unlikely that you'll remember the game in a year's time. You can get the game from the UK Switch eStore for £6.29 or from the US eStore for $6.99. Alternatively, the game's also available on Steam. And with that, we come to the end of this review of Galaxy Warfighter. Please let me know what you thought of the game and whether you agree or disagree with my review in the comments section below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and please consider subscribing to the channel to be notified of future Switch indie game reviews. I look forward to speaking to you all again soon, but for now, I just want to say thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, game on.